Good morning, Miss Sarah. Please come in and have a seat. I wanted to talk with you because over the last few months, I've been hearing many positive comments from students and parents about your teaching methods, and I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to discuss how things are going in your classroom and whether there is anything the school can do to support you further.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for inviting me and for saying such kind words. Honestly, hearing positive feedback is always encouraging because teaching is not always easy, and there are days when we wonder whether students are truly learning or enjoying the lessons. I'm really trying my best to make classes more interactive, enjoyable, and meaningful for the students.
That is exactly what I wanted to discuss with you. Several students mentioned that your classes feel more engaging because you encourage discussions rather than simply asking them to memorize lessons from textbooks. They also said you are very patient when someone struggles to understand a topic, and that quality is very important in education because every student learns at a different pace.
I truly appreciate hearing that. I strongly believe that education should not only focus on exams and grades, but also on helping students feel confident enough to ask questions and express their opinions. Sometimes students are afraid of making mistakes, so I try to create an environment where they feel comfortable speaking openly and learning without fear of embarrassment.
That sounds wonderful. In fact, one concern I have noticed in many classrooms is that some students remain quiet, even when they clearly need help. Since you seem to have built a good relationship with your students, I wanted to ask if you have any suggestions for helping quieter students become more involved in classroom activities.
Yes, sir. I've actually been thinking about that recently. One thing I often do is divide students into smaller discussion groups because shy students sometimes feel nervous speaking in front of the entire class. When they are in a smaller group, they become more relaxed and confident. I also make sure to encourage even small efforts because sometimes a little appreciation can motivate students to participate more actively.
That is a very practical idea. I think many teachers could benefit from hearing those methods. Would you be interested in sharing your teaching strategies during our next staff meeting? I believe it would be useful for the rest of the teaching team, especially for newer teachers who are still trying to build classroom confidence.
I would be happy to do that, sir, although I have to admit I feel a little nervous speaking in front of many teachers. But if my experiences can help someone improve their teaching or help students learn better, then I would definitely like to contribute.
There is no need to feel nervous. You speak clearly, and from what I've seen, you communicate ideas very naturally. I think the staff would appreciate hearing practical experiences from someone who is actively working with students every day, rather than only discussing educational theories.
Thank you for your confidence in me, sir. That really means a lot. Sometimes teachers also need encouragement because we spend so much time supporting students that we forget we also need support and appreciation to stay motivated.
You are absolutely right. Teaching is one of the most demanding professions because it requires patience, emotional understanding, preparation, and a genuine commitment to helping young people grow. Many people only see teachers standing in front of the classroom, but they do not always realize the amount of planning and effort that happens behind the scenes.
Exactly, sir. There are many evenings when I stay up preparing lesson materials, thinking about creative classroom activities, and trying to understand how to make difficult topics easier for students to understand. Sometimes I even worry about students who suddenly become quiet or seem distracted because I wonder if they might be facing personal difficulties.
I'm glad you mentioned that because student well-being has become one of our priorities this year. We want students not only to perform well academically, but also to feel emotionally supported. If teachers notice behavioral changes or emotional struggles, we want to respond early instead of waiting until the problem becomes more serious.
I completely agree. I think students learn better when they feel emotionally safe and respected.
Sometimes a student who appears lazy is actually dealing with stress, family issues, or low confidence. I try to speak with them privately and understand what may be happening before making assumptions.
That approach shows maturity and compassion. Another thing I wanted to discuss is the upcoming school cultural event. We are planning activities that encourage creativity, teamwork, and communication, and I was wondering whether you would be willing to organize part of the English speaking section or perhaps a conversation program for students.
That actually sounds exciting, sir. I think students would enjoy an English conversation activity because many of them hesitate to speak English simply because they are afraid of making mistakes. If we organize role plays, short conversations, storytelling activities, or public speaking practice in a fun way, I believe students would become much more confident.
That sounds excellent. I really like the idea of role plays because students tend to remember things better when they actively participate instead of passively listening. Perhaps we could even create real-life situations, such as conversations at restaurants, interviews, office discussions, or travel situations.
Yes, sir, exactly. Real-life communication practice is much more effective because students can imagine themselves actually using English outside the classroom. I also think it helps them become less afraid of speaking imperfectly because they realize communication is more important than being completely perfect.
Very true. Perfection should not stop learning. In fact, mistakes are often part of the learning process. Before we finish, is there anything you think the school should improve in order to help teachers and students have a better educational experience?
Since you asked, sir, I think having more interactive teaching resources would really help. Sometimes teachers want to make lessons more interesting, but we do not always have enough materials or technology available. I also think regular teacher workshops would be useful because education keeps changing and we should continue learning as professionals.
Those are valuable suggestions, and I appreciate your honesty. I will discuss these ideas with the administration team and see what improvements we can gradually implement. I strongly believe that when teachers are supported, students benefit as well.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that you are willing to listen to teachers and consider our opinions. It makes us feel respected and valued, and that motivates us to work even harder for the students.
You are most welcome, Miss Sarah. Thank you for your dedication and positive attitude. I hope we can continue working together to create a school environment where students feel inspired, supported, and encouraged to grow both academically and personally.
Thank you very much, sir. I feel motivated after this conversation, and I will continue trying my best to help students learn, improve, and believe in themselves.
That is wonderful to hear. Have a great day, and please let me know if you ever need support or want to share new ideas.
Thank you, sir. I certainly will. Have a wonderful day.